Yeah, we want to start streaming a live event. Hey there, Alligator. I think we finally have the internet working. I'm hoping so. I'm sorry that if there's buffering, I'm not really sure why the internet's being funny this morning. I guess technology is just a thing of the future still.
Yeah.
But I was saying to Alec that it was a little bit more of motivation than necessarily self-discipline that got me to the computer today. So there we go. Now it's working.
Good.
It took a few tries. Sorry that we're so late. But so this morning we wanted to kind of chat about how self-discipline and motivation differ in their beings. Like, we talk about prudence being, the core virtue of all other virtues. And, how does that play in when we're trying to become a holier person? How does that play out when we're working on ourselves? So my Alec Gator here is just so full of self-discipline. He is. You are.
I suppose so.
I don't know if he would ever claim it for himself, but he graduated summa cum laude, so he graduated with a 3.97 with his bachelor's degree, and just worked so hard. He was a part of so many extracurriculars at college, and I mean, right now, what, your sleep schedule?
Usually I try to get to bed by 9 p.m. and I'm up at 5 a.m. every day, a little bit before 5 now.
Yeah. And there are rarely mornings that I hear the snooze button hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Some days.
But not too often. Tom, you're good. We were late too. Our internet was having some sort of weird deal going on. I'm still not sure. So I'm sorry if it's buffering for you. And then David, good morning. I'm glad you're here too. Good job with your guys's. Do you guys usually get up this early? Because I don't. So I was out of bed at 7:20, and that is a little early for me. My sleep schedule is very different than Alex. I'm usually lights out, trying to sleep by midnight, but sometimes it's even later than that. I'm a little bit more of a night owl, but...
Does lights out include TV?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean by lights out. But that is where some of my self-discipline lacks, is that I want to watch TV or play Candy Crush on my phone, and or both simultaneously. That's been a favorite lately.
Yeah.
And but Alec he doesn't really like watching TV. I used to be more that way, but I recently started watching this new TV show. I won't talk about that, but let's just say that we're going to be keeping Hulu for a little while longer.
Yeah. There's always something on there you like.
Yeah, something. So Alec, with your graduation, with how well you did, what would you say were the key elements of that self-discipline? Because would you say that it was more motivation, that you wanted to graduate top of your class, or was it more self-discipline? How would you express that?
I guess it's partly competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person. And also it really comes down to why you're doing something. Why was I in school? And I ultimately was in school to learn as much as I could before I went out and got a full-time job. And so when I was sitting there, and because most students will just kind of learn the material to take the test, and I would learn the material to know it. Mm-hmm. And usually when I was going into the test, I'd know the material thoroughly, forwards and backwards, and I was usually one of the first ones done with the test, just because I was so ingrained in my head at the time. And I know there's some days where I think there's a couple days I pulled all-nighters just studying for tests. It's not the best strategy, but when you need to, I was able to.
Uh-huh.
And it's just why are you doing this? And I think that kind of, if you find your why, it kind of transitions your motivation into self-discipline. Because you know, like when you're studying for 2 hours and you're starting to get really tired and you're just like, oh gosh, like I really don't understand it, but I'm tired. I was really determined to make sure I was setting myself up for success with a full-time job, so I could go the extra 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, or, you know, there were some days where I had 17 hours of studying. So just making sure I knew that material, that I was taking responsibility for my future.
So I have to find my why. Why would I want to sleep 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.?
And there might not necessarily be a good reason at this point, because like when I was in like high school during the summers, I remember my mom coming home from work at 4:30 in the afternoon, and I was just getting out of bed because I had no reason to get up.
Sure.
And then I got a job in construction inspection. Everything in construction starts at 7 a.m. And so I was working at Papa John's, and they would close at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And then a week later, I transitioned over to this job where I had to be up at 6 a.m. and on site 7 a.m. every day. And it was a really rough summer. Like, I didn't know how to get to bed at a good time. I didn't know how to get up at a good time. I didn't drink any coffee the first summer. I drank coffee the next summer after that, and I've been drinking coffee daily since then.
Couple cups.
Yeah, one cup during the week, couple cups on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
And then, but really, what got me through that year is that, you know, I wanted to be successful in my career. So if it meant going to work tired every day for a summer, that was what I had to do. And then in the meantime, I had to figure out how to set a sleep schedule to where I could, you know, not be dead tired the entire day. So it takes time, and it, you know, it was really tough. And, you know, with my new job now, we're going through a really tough patch, and it's just, yeah, you know a lot about it.
He works at a company I used to work at for a while, and I ended up leaving because there was just so much going on. But yeah, Alec here is just taking the bull by the horns at the job and really trying to improve the conditions.
Yeah.
But so it sounds like the main thing that stuck out to me, and you guys can like ask questions or like comment on what stuck out most to you, and like Alec can elaborate, or like, you know, we can talk about it, was more just like finding your why. Like, why is this important? Like, you know, I mean, we've talked about it before in like what was the video? Something about like what makes a man, or like how to be a Christian man, or whatever. Like, when we had first started dating, like there was still a struggle with the pornography stuff. And it was like, I was not gonna be doing that. So like that in and of itself, I think Alec gave it, like, that was like a motivation to develop the self-discipline, right? Would you say would be the...
Yeah, it's just, like find your why, like, your different reasons why.
You wanted to marry me.
That's right. Yeah. That was more important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just creating a perspective. Just creating the perspective, you know, like, I remember reading Dwight Eisenhower's biography, and he quit smoking cold turkey, and he developed he despised people who smoked because he just saw it as disgusting, and he couldn't stand it, and so he just stopped smoking cold turkey. He just hit that point, and you know, he was dealing with a lot of stress at the time. He was Supreme Commander of Allied forces in Europe, going against Hitler. So if he can stop smoking, then I think I can, you know, quit other things that I need to, or, you know, get through difficult times.
Yeah, actually, because I used to smoke cigarettes too, and the book that I had read was called How to Quit Smoking the Easy Way by Alan Carr, and that was a very similar situation. He had smoked, like, I think it was 5 packs a day for like 20 years. Like, he was an intense smoker, like super deep into it. And one day it all just clicked in his head and he quit cold turkey. And it ended up being that all of a sudden he realized that society had like brainwashed him to think that smoking cigarettes was okay. And so he like realized, well, I need to like essentially brainwash myself the other direction. So this book was all about like, it's poison. Like, every time you inhale, you're literally inhaling poison. Like, this is what the companies want you to think. This is what society tells us. Like, it's cool, it's hip, when really it's like you're committing suicide over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And so like he kind of got that reversed brainwash. So let's see. Was there anything else before we kind of check in with the comments?
We can go to the questions.
Okay, so Tom, you said that you're in Central Time. This time of year, you're usually up at 5:50, but you slept in until 6:45. Yeah. Alec doesn't even actually, like, that's great. I like want Alec to sleep in on the weekends because I think there's something special about waking up with somebody. But he still likes to get up at 5 o'clock on the weekends even, and like, if I could get him to sleep until 7, I think I'd get up at 7 o'clock with him. Maybe even 6:30. Yeah, have you noticed? You sometimes get headaches when you sleep too much. Have you noticed that at all lately? No, because he's sleeping so consistently. So, David, you used to wake up between 2 to 4 a.m. Monday through Friday, depending, working at a butcher's shop. My dad grew up in a butcher shop. Like, my grandpa was a butcher, and so they had that whole thing out in the backyard, and my grandpa was a character. I'm kind of curious what the owner of where you worked was like, because I've heard some pretty gruff stories about my grandpa. Yeah.
I'm curious about how he handled waking up that early, because I had to do that for one of my jobs. I was up at between 12:45 a.m., 2 a.m., 6 a.m.
What days? Okay, because I always say that it was 2 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday. Was that right?
It changed every week.
Oh, I thought it was fairly consistent.
Well, they set a schedule and it changed the next day.
Oh. Well, it was essentially, like 2 a.m., then 4 a.m., then 2 a.m., then 4 a.m., then 8 a.m. Every week. Like, it was... And then some days the construction crew wasn't even there because there was no communication.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, that's a lack of self-discipline on whoever's part is coordinating, which was not my dear honey's. This is his mug. He gave me my coffee in his mug this morning. Okay, so Tom said, summer job where you had a brief time of getting up at 3:30 a.m. So probably a similar question for how you handled that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like why get up at 3:30?
Yeah, why not get a different job? That's what he did.
Yeah.
But
I knew what I wanted to deal with, and that wasn't.
There were some other issues too. So I think that some motivation, like, they really do kind of interlap with each other, like this motivation and self-discipline. But self-discipline can exist without motivation being present. Like, I think self-discipline is really like what stays.
Yeah, motivation.
After motivation
is more. It's kind of comes and goes with your feelings and your emotions. It's not something that you can rely on.
Right. Because like the whole reason that Alec ended up leaving that job was because it was like what it was going to be
inconsistent hours and long progression time, like in the new positions.
Yeah, like in order to get promoted to where he really wanted to be, which was it was a bridge project manager, right?
Yeah, just like project managers.
Yeah, in the bridge.
In office.
Yeah, you wanted to do bridges though, yeah?
Yeah.
Like primarily.
Work with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted to do project, and it was going to be like 15 years. So I think that the motivation might have... Yeah. Or just, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I felt there was better opportunities out there.
Yeah. So Tom said, is it easier to give up something cold turkey like smoking versus cutting back, like reducing food to lose weight? Personally, from what I've seen, I would say that it depends on the person. Like, everybody is a little bit different. Everybody has a little bit slightly different strengths. And, quite a few people well, I wouldn't even say quite a few people. Some people have a very all or nothing mentality. And so if that's the case, I would actually recommend that the slowly cutting back would be better because it creates a sustainable, it's more sustainable. That's what I found for me, because I have been a very all or nothing person in the past, and like I'm trying and working to like get more balanced in that. And so, like it's kind of like, okay, I mean, Alec would probably say cold turkey would be better.
I'd say it depends, but really it comes down to your commitment to it.
Sure.
So if you say, oh, I'm going to stop this cold turkey, but you're just like, well, I think I want to, I'm not sure, you're not going to do it.
Right.
Or if you say, all right, I'm going to slowly step back, and you're like, yeah, I think that's what I want, you're not going to do it.
Like for me, when I change my sleep schedule, if I'm like, okay, I want to start getting up at, say I want to start getting up at 7 in the morning, when I'm typically, right now I probably get up around like 8:30 most mornings, but sometimes 9. That's usually like pretty consistent. Like I would probably start a half hour regression and like start with like getting up at 8 and then like maybe 7:45 and then 7:30 and kind of like work my way to 7 o'clock. Whereas I know Alec would probably just be like, I'm just going to get up at the time and be tired for a few days and get over it. So it just kind of depends. And for me, it depends on what my motivation is too. Like if we were to talk today and me really feel convicted about, I really want to like journal for an hour and like drink my coffee and be able to read first thing in the morning, and I have to get up at 7 o'clock for that. I don't think that would be too difficult for me. So I don't know
Yeah, I mean, this is 5 o'clock's the earliest I've woken up consistently, and like I started at 7 while I was at Western, and then started getting up, I think like 6 or 6:30 while I was at my last job, and then I was at 5:30, and then I got to 5 o'clock in the morning, and I kept it consistent. I've kind of moved it to like 4:55. So.
Oh, he's doing things I don't even know about. See.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of slowly increasing it.
What I want is for Alec to get up the moment the cats start meowing, because if we ever have a baby and it starts crying at 2 in the morning, I'm not just going to be like, oh, it'll stop. It's probably just hungry. The cats wake me up now because they're used to him feeding him at 5 in the morning. They come up, they start meowing at me. They've been waking me up the last few mornings. Okay, totally off topic.
Yeah.
Food is a necessity, though. Cigs are not. Sure, David, but reducing food to lose weight, when you start talking about obesity, right? Like, or overindulgence in food, cutting back, like say somebody eats fast food every single day for lunch and they're at a terrible weight, like they're unhealthy, they feel sluggish, like would it be better for them to just stop eating fast food every day, like, and start doing lunches, or maybe cut back to 3 days a week and then after a few weeks cut back to 2 days a week? Like for me, making that type of transition, I would probably be like, okay, I'm going to shift from every day to, only 3 times a week, or maybe like, and like gradually step back instead of just being like, okay, I'm just going to start making my lunch every single day, because for me, that's just not sustainable. Like I always try to look at how can I make this sustainable, and, something that they're, like fast food has an addictive property. I don't remember exactly, but like if I eat McDonald's French fries, I crave them the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that like level of being aware of how things act in our bodies. So we're very,
yeah.
Dude, you go ahead.
I guess it like, cause I recently started like cutting back like my calories that I'm eating, cause I was kind of overweight.
He's lost like 30 pounds. Which was crazy, because he didn't even look like he could have lost it, but he did. Mm-hmm. It's weird when he told me that the other day.
25. 25 pounds.
25.
Yeah.
Well, wait, where were you? You were at...
207.
207, then you're down to 182. Yeah, 207. Oh, I don't know how to do math.
That's okay.
That's why I have him. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, really, for me to get to that point, like, where I could start controlling, like, the calories I was eating and being a little bit pickier on what I was eating, it took me think 9 years from the first time I said, when I first started trying to count my calories, took me 9 years to actually do it consistently to lose weight. So it's just that I'd never had commitment before that point, and then finally it was like, all right, like, I really want to do this. Like, I'm tired of being like, just not feeling healthy and and eating whatever I want, eating candies and stuff like that. And it's finally just like, all right, I'm gonna do this now. And I just, I switched the next day. I think I started like counting like to 2,500 calories, and then, just kind of eating to where I was full. And then I kind of found that happy medium of now I kind of maintain between like 182 and 185. And it was just kind of that progression. It was a cold turkey, but it took me 9 years to go cold turkey. It's just, you're gonna fail. It's just kind of a given that you set your goals, and it's a good goal if you fail to reach it the first time, because if you reach it too quickly or too easily, it probably wasn't a good goal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was giggling because I'll complain about feeling unhealthy, and I'll be like, I should go to the gym. I should go to the gym.
Yeah.
I should go to the gym. And I'll just like...
Shit is a dangerous word.
Yeah, but I'll just... And then Alec is like, stop. If you feel like you should, then just go. So, Roberto, I stopped gambling cold turkey after regularly having thousands of dollars in play every day. I had a why for giving it up that was very strong, though. Yeah, finding that why sounds like it's a pretty important thing. And then, Tom, you find it easier to give something up completely versus trying to limit eating. It totally depends on the person. It depends on what it is, because, like, sugar, they say, activates similar things in the brain as cocaine. So when you start talking about those addictive foods, it's kind of like an alcoholic. Like, they cannot drink sparingly. Like, they do have to stop cold turkey because, like, their body craves it too much that they become physically dependent on it. And like, there are certain things that you really do have to stop cold turkey, because there's not really you can't do heroin once a week, and consider that to be a good thing. Like, there has to be a decision on some of those things that the body actually has to go through, like almost like a detox. So. Yeah,
I mean, like, for some reason I really like potato chips, and I will eat an entire bag of potato chips in a night if it's in front of me. So
I have to claim my bags.
Yeah, so what I do is I just don't buy potato chips, because if they're in the house I will eat them, but then she buys them, so I eat them.
Because I want them. So then I have to buy a ton, because I'm like, well, I want some in 3 days, please.
Yeah, they won't last 3 days.
Yeah, so I actually
So I tell her...
He opened one of my bags, and I'm like, that's my bag of potato chips.
Well, I just tell her to hide them from me. And if I don't see them, I won't eat them. But it's kind of like one of those things, you got to find out what works for you. And if I have potato chips in front of me, I'll eat them. So I just don't buy them.
Yeah. Oh, so cool about my grandpa, the stories that I can imagine. Oh, gosh. He was a gruff guy, for sure. And there's one that's potent in my mind. If you really want to hear it, I'll tell it, but you would have to tell me. You'd have to specifically, you'd have to tell me that you want to hear it. I'd have to hear from more than one person that you guys want to hear it, because it's kind of gross. So, Alec, do you have an exercise routine that you follow?
No, I do not.
He walks a lot though with his job, so.
Yeah.
I mean, how far do you walk a day? You used to come home and be like.
I don't know. I haven't kept track lately.
Is it on your watch?
Well, my calorie counter, I usually break 500 calories burned every day.
Okay.
So it's not a whole lot.
Well, but 500 calories, I mean, yeah, that is a bit.
Because I've kind of, I guess I feel healthy as long as I'm eating okay. And I guess my take on exercise is I'll exercise if I feel that it'll help me do my job better, or to help live a better life. So I'm not necessarily going out to try to run a 4-minute mile or lift 1,000 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, if my exercise routine really is based off motivation. It's bad because it's not sustainable. And Like, I just don't have the self-discipline, like, to choose a time that I want to go to the gym every day. That's really my biggest thing, is that I think that if I were to, like, choose a time and be like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym on, like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Like, because I work out of the house now, and so there's, like, it'd have to be a very targeted trip of, like, okay, I'm going to the gym. So...
Right, and you'd also have to say beforehand, like, I'm going to go even if I'm tired. I'm going to go even if there's other things I have to do. I'm going to go. You have to kind of challenge yourself.
See?
To put you in the bad situations and still be willing to go.
But Planet Fitness does have pizza on Mondays, so that I can let that be my motivation for my once a week workout.
Pizza at a gym.
I know. Tasty, though.
But as far as, like, my exercise routine, like, that's something that I've thought about, like, trying to get into a routine, but I don't have a reason to do it at this point. Mm-hmm. There might be a time where I'm like, all right, like, I really need to start exercising, get healthy, then I'll set a routine, and as long as I have that commitment, and I know I don't have the commitment right now to hold a workout routine, so I just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, before my brain surgery, I had a super consistent workout schedule. Like, I was in bodybuilding, and I did a lot of weight training and very minimal cardio, but, I mean, I still ran a half marathon that year, so I guess I did a fair amount of cardio.
Yeah.
I trained for it. So, but so, like, now when I go to the gym, I know the proper form, and I know how to use the equipment, and I know how to use free weights, and so when I go, like... my body is just different now. Like, it takes longer to recover, and there are just, like, some different aspects that kind of hold me back from working out. So it's almost like I have to find a new medium of working out, like, whether it's swimming or whether it's, like, something else, I think, in order to get my self-discipline in check. Because it's, like, really hard to overcome some of those consequences, I guess, or, like, results, or... whatever you'd want to call them. So it's interesting. 9 years. Oh, yeah, for you. So cutting back slowly is the way to go when it comes to food. I don't know if Alec was necessarily cutting back over those 9 years, though. I think it was just an internal struggle for those 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I go back and forth a lot. Like, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Okay, I'm going to eat paleo. Okay, we're going to progress back to whatever I want. Okay, I'm going to go vegan for a while. Okay, we're back to whatever I want again. And, like, I feel like for me, I constantly go back and forth. And it'll probably take, like, me having kids to really, like, I mean, if I'm pregnant or something, like, I'm actually responsible for the nutrients that are going into the baby. So, like, that's a motivation. But that motivation would produce self-discipline. Like, I knew someone who was in AA who went to weekly meetings, or, well, actually multiple meetings a week, and, like, they were sober for 3 years, and then they got pregnant. And they went from being super involved with AA to not going, like, at all. And when I talked to her about it, she was just like, well, you know, if there was ever going to be a time that I was going to slip up, it wouldn't be now. So her self-discipline over those 3 years, like, actually ended up manifesting into more of a motivation because she had this child inside of her. And so...
well, yeah, it swapped over to motivation for the time.
Right, exactly, for the time being. And, like, I mean, there's still a level of self-discipline that comes within it, but, like, yeah, but it shifted more to, like, a motivation. Like, I don't need to have the self-discipline of the classes, and, like, and so it was just kind of interesting to see, and...
depends on your why, like, or why change too. Like, why do I not want to drink?
So I guess your why can produce motivation, but then it turns into self-discipline. I'm sure there were times that, but then it turns into self-discipline.
Yeah.
So Tom said that's tough when my wife buys snacks that I'll eat the whole thing. Girl Scout little mints. Those are my favorite too.
Yeah, I don't like it when she buys, like, treats and snacks, stuff like that, because I know I'll eat them.
He doesn't eat my Oreos, though. My Oreos...
except for last night.
You had a couple, but my Oreos tend to last.
Yeah. Get my hand slapped if I put my hand
That's
in the
right.
cookie jar.
That's right. Those are mine. So it's kind of... It's interesting being...
So that would be motivation because
Right.
I'm motivated not to get my hand slapped. Make my wife angry.
Motivated. Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
But, well, do you guys have any other questions about the motivation versus self-discipline? We have to hop off here because we're headed to Troy. Alex's grandma is turning 94. So there's a birthday party celebration that we're heading to, and that's at 11:30, and it's a 2.5-hour drive for us, and I still have to pack because we might be staying the night. I don't know, though. I have a new opinion on that, so
Okay.
so we'll talk about that. But if you guys are all set, so are we.
Yeah, so
anything else you wanted to
I
share?
guess just to wrap it up, that self-discipline depends a lot on your why, and motivation is more kind of comes and goes with your emotions and your feelings, because like one day you might wake up being like, yeah, I really want to run, but if you have no self-discipline or commitment to it, you'll do it for a day and that'll be it.
Or a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think I made it 3 weeks on my most recent motivation workout stint.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds good, though. Thanks for your time, honey. You're so sweet.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Yeah, feel free. Anything that... Who else wants to hear the grandpa story? It can't be that gross. It's just animals. Okay, if anybody doesn't want to hear the story, just click out. I'll tell David the story. So if you don't want to hear a gross story, close the video now. Thanks for joining us. See you later, alligator. And so